I'm sure my viewers and subscribers out there that celebrate Christmas are no strangers to the fact that not everybody has a particularly Merry Christmas. I'm no stranger to the fact that I'm not the only person that doesn't have the Christmas that everybody else has. I'm not like, oh, everybody has a Merry Christmas but me. I'm not that much of a sourpuss. But it does suck knowing the majority of your friends are all having the holiday you never had growing up, seeing it glamorized on TV and in music and other forms of media. It's like sitting by yourself at the lunch table at school.
Yeah, I still have the hat. What of it? Hey guys, RanterInShades here, because as my first commemorates vlog style. It's the holidays, and as you heard from that clip I showed from a video I made 6 years ago, I'm not the hugest fan of Christmas. If you want to know why, the link to the video is in the description. A bit's changed since I made that video that I don't want to go into because it's too personal, but other than that, I still mostly stand by that video. However, one thing that's able to lighten my mood up around this time of year is holiday-themed music. To be clear, I'm not talking about Christmas carols or the really overplayed Christmas songs you hear every time you step outside. I'm talking about songs that just so happen to be about or have to do with Christmas or the general holiday season. Whether they come from Christmas-themed albums or not, it doesn't matter. In honor of Christmas, this countdown is going to be about my 20 favorite holiday-themed songs. Now, this isn't to say that this list won't include any popular Christmas songs or renditions of some popular carols. Make no mistake, you're not going to be seeing Jingle Bell Rock, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, Wonderful Christmas Time, or most importantly, All I Want for Christmas Is You here. But whenever people complain about how much they hate hearing Christmas music, these are some songs that come to mind that I think blow the idea that Christmas music sucks out the water. If you've never heard of any of these songs, I highly recommend checking them out and adding them to any holiday playlists you have. Back when I did radio in college, I would play a lot of these on my last radio show before winter break, and I'd love to share them with you. So let's begin. Number 20. Spinal Tap, the first famous fictional band that comes to mind, as well as probably the first comedic metal band. This is Spinal Tap is of course a great movie, something that is a must-watch if you're a metal fan, and when the film came out in 1984, there came a subsequent soundtrack album that features a bonus track called Christmas with the Devil. Is this my favorite song of theirs? No, Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight, such a redundant title, is the highlight for me, but I think it's kind of cool that a Christmas song got included on the album. One thing I like about this song is the chromatic guitar fills from Nigel Tufnell that take place before the verses, and the drum sound is also cool. The song describes some Night Before Christmas-esque evil as the devil has taken over Christmas. Kinda tame by today's standards, but I still find the song to be pretty enjoyable. The only thing I'm not the hugest on are the backing vocals that sing the title. Other than that, this is a pretty solid metal track. Number 19. Here's our first cover of a traditional Christmas song. This is an instrumental version of Carol of the Bells, aka the Ding President, Ding President song performed by August Burns Red. This was featured on a Christmas compilation released in 2008 called Xmas, and then put on a B-side EP called Lost Messengers, The Outtakes. C minor is a cool key to have this in, and I like how the riff is transposed to different octaves, along with when it's played in palm-muted eighth notes, along with a harmony line thrown on top. And when the second melody comes in, we get some stops in the rhythm section. And I also like how some 16th notes are added in during this melody, and the drums throw in some blast beats and double pedal work. For a Christmas song, August Burns Red do a great job at giving this a melodic metalcore flair. Probably the coolest part of their rendition is when they throw in a pretty neat breakdown with some prominent bells thrown on top before the main harmonized melody is played in 16th notes over the breakdown riff. All in all, this is kick-ass, and I couldn't imagine this carol being reinterpreted any other way and executed as greatly. 6am's Xmas and Hell from the Heroine Diaries comes close, but that occurs closest to the end, while the rest of the song is essentially the introduction to Nikki Sixx's life story, which establishes the concept of the album, hence why I'm not including it on the list. Number 18. I know what you're thinking.
Shades, what's a Hanukkah song doing on a list of Christmas songs?
Look at the title again. It says Christmas/holiday songs. Last I checked, Hanukkah is a holiday that occurs around this time of year. You do the math. This is pretty much the only Hanukkah song anyone really knows, and probably the only one that exists. Adam Sandler even says as much at the very beginning.
There's a lot of Christmas songs out there, and not too many Hanukkah songs, so Wrote a song for all those nice little Jewish kids who don't get to hear any Hanukkah songs.
Even though the song is basically just him listing off Jewish celebrities and not really much else, a number of which it sounds like he had to do some scrambling to come up with, I still find the song mildly amusing. He might not be the funniest comedian out there, but I'll be the first in line to come to bat for some of his movies, as I do find him to be pretty wholesome. Like I said in my Hey Arnold video, not that it was something I got super upset over as a former Jew, but there was not a lot of Jewish representation in media growing up, especially around the time of the holidays. Sandler is basically coming from a place of wanting people like Kid Me to not feel like this.
I'm a Jew, a lonely Jew, on Christmas.
So even if the song might not be amazing, I can see the good intentions behind it, and I'm glad the song exists. Also, that O.J. Simpson reference might have been topical for the time, but that part of the song makes me chuckle the hardest.
O.J. Simpson, not a Jew.
Number 17. Hanoi Rocks is one of those bands that's fairly well known, but people rarely talk about them. They're a hard rock band from Finland who are a key influence on Guns N' Roses' sound. They're also pretty noteworthy for helping popularize the glam image that was prominent throughout the 80s. Andy McCoy is an alright guitarist, and Michael Monroe's a pretty cool singer. Although one unfortunate thing they're known for is the fact that their drummer Nicholas Razzle Dingley was killed in a drunk driving accident by Vince Neil in 1984, they put out 5 albums in their heyday that I definitely recommend checking out if you're a glam fan. The song Dead by Christmas, or Dead by Xmas, comes from their 3rd album, their second to come out in 1982, Self-Destruction Blues. It's not the hardest sounding song I've ever heard from Hanoi Rocks, but it's pretty groovy, even with the piano. The song's so upbeat, but yet the lyrics are very dark. It's basically about feeling like shit around Christmas while your former partner has moved on. Monroe's also kind of implying that he's already dead, although I can definitely see both literal and figurative interpretations working here. Because like I said, Christmas isn't always a happy time for everyone, but what kind of confuses me is when he changes the final chorus to say, "You'll be dead by Christmas now anyway." I don't know if this is Monroe stating the inevitable, or if it's him wanting to kill her for revenge, but other than that, this is a pretty cool song. Number 16. Here's another separate gem from a band's main discography. This comes from one of the many Christmas compilations that I found while researching some unique Christmas songs. Here we got a ska rendition of Oi to the World by No Doubt. This is actually a cover of a song by the Vandals from a Christmas album they released in 1996. And while the Vandals are an awesome old school hardcore act, No Doubt's version is just so much more upbeat and fun. What do you expect? Ska is always upbeat. I love the horn melody, the chorus is executed well, Gwen Stefani's pre-Hollaback Girl voice is always nice to hear, and overall the song is such a jam. There's also a cool bridge where the bass is highlighted along with another awesome horn melody. The song's about 2 punks named Trevor and Haji, who are basically part of the punk version of the Bloods and Crips, the Oys and Skins. Just like on South Park when Jimmy says to the Bloods and Crips, that's essentially what the chorus is about, and that ends up happening in the 3rd verse. It's Christmas, so we should all be able to get along and find some common happiness on this day because it's not going to come again for another 365 days. Actually, next year's a leap year, so 366. Overall, the song's a lot of fun, and I love the personality that's injected. Number 15. Yet another bonus track, this song comes from Korn's 4th album from 1999, Issues. Jingle Balls reminds me a bit of their song Chutes and Ladders from their 1st album in the sense that it's a song where Jonathan Davis sings edgy parodies of otherwise wholesome songs. The song opens with a really trashy rendition of Jingle Bells before the full band enters and Jonathan Davis growls the traditional Jingle Bells lyrics. They remain mostly unchanged until we get to the verse and he says this. One other thing I find interesting about the song is how if you listen to the guitar, the main melody is transposed to a minor key. Apart from the down-tuned chugging that's heavily associated with nu metal and early Korn, I really like the drumming from former drummer David Silveria, and towards the end, we also get a cool guitar solo from Brian Head Welch before he plays the Jingle Bells melody again. As far as renditions of this song, Korn probably have the coolest one yet. Number 14. A Christmas songs list isn't complete without including a song from the legendary Judas Priest vocalist Rob Halford's 3rd album with Halford, Winter Songs. The album contains some pretty cool renditions of songs like We Three Kings, Come All Ye Faithful, and Oh Holy Night, but I want to include one of the originals he wrote for the album. While this particular track isn't explicitly about Christmas when you look at the lyrics, the opening track, Get Into the Spirit, is my favorite track on the album and the one I want to include here. There are definitely some aspects of the lyrics that can be attributed to the holiday season, such as the mention of magic, journeying, bonding, and miracles. This is the kind of stuff that essentially culminates culminates in a Christmas celebration, as well as the celebration of the year coming to an end, and it involves getting into the holiday spirit. In that sense, the song functions greatly as an album opener. A big thing I like about this song is that it doesn't sound too far off from a Judas Priest song with more modern sounding production. Halford's delivery is exceptional as always, and the drive, riffing, and atmosphere are great. The piano in the bridge is also very sweet sounding, and the following solo is excellent. Everything you would want to hear in a Judas Priest song is present here. Winter Songs is an album I definitely recommend listening to around this time of year, not just for the holiday aspect, but because whether you're hearing him in Judas Priest, Fight, Halford, or even his short-lived industrial metal band 2, you really can't go wrong with Rob Goddamn Halford. Number 13. When you think of the greatest metal vocalists, along with Rob Halford, one name that should come readily to mind is King Diamond. After he left his previous band, Merciful Fate, he released his first solo album, Fatal Portrait, where just like with Christmas with the Devil and Jingle Balls, this bangin' song, No Presents for Christmas, is a bonus track. The song opens with Jingle Bells, and then we get a cool evil laugh with the band entering. Along with the on-point high-pitched vocals of King Diamond himself, the instrumentation is driven fast. There are also two awesome solos by Andy LaRocque and Michael Denner. As far as 80s traditional metal goes, this is such an excellent sound, and whether you're listening to Merciful Fate or his solo stuff, King Diamond is a great musician to listen to for it. The song presents a story of Christmas being cancelled because Santa isn't getting a lot of help. The chorus kind of implies this is like a Tom and Jerry special where they're helping Santa, but instead they're just drinking and not doing anything. It's also suggesting this is a crossover with Mickey Mouse with the mention of Donald Duck being in bed. The setup is pretty silly for a song with such a menacing sound, but overall the song is awesome. Number 12. When it comes to 70s punk rock, my favorite band from that era is definitely the Ramones. They're a fun group of dudes with some goofy and charming personality. Most people know them for their 70s and early 80s output, but outside of Razorfist, not a lot of people I know talk about their later albums. As far as their 80s albums go, this track from 1989's Brain Drain called Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight Tonight is one of my favorite highlights. The lyrics here are a bit vague, but essentially Joey Ramone is telling us that he doesn't want to get too agitated, even with the prospect of Santa not showing up. Like I said before, Christmas isn't always merry for a lot of people. People take Christmas really seriously, and thus there's potential for emotions to run high, leading to some fighting with a loved one. The song is Joey Ramone saying he doesn't want that to happen, and for everyone to just enjoy Christmas. The added synths might not be the most punk rock thing ever, but I like the energy and the positivity. One thing I also really like is the chord progression in the pre-chorus, where it goes F major, F minor, C, C7. It's very harmonically interesting, especially with a band like the Ramones that aren't exactly known for doing much outside the box. The outro also makes me smile, as the title of the song just keeps repeating. This is just a carefree Christmas song, and I love it very much. Number 11. Simple Plan was one of the first bands I remember getting into in late elementary school, early middle school, and I'm not shy about admitting that I still find enjoyment out of their first two albums. So let me tell you a story. When I was getting into them, I remember buying the song that would become my favorite of theirs on iTunes, Grow Up, which is yet another bonus track on their 2002 debut, No Pads, No Helmets, Just Balls. The track was 6.5 minutes long, and I remember being really confused why, because Grow Up by itself is 2.5 minutes. Keep in mind, this was back when I listened to music on an iPod Shuffle, which had no screen, so I was confused as fuck about what was going on. After about 30 seconds of dead air went by after the song finished, I heard my very first hidden track, My Christmas List. It's kind of fitting in a way that this hidden track comes after a song about not wanting to be mature and act your age, because the song is all about the materialistic aspect of Christmas that's associated with being a kid. Pierre Bouvier basically just lists off a bunch of cool shit he wants for Christmas, including a lifetime supply of Skittles and Slurpees, a PlayStation 2, a big screen TV, and even a girl in his bed. This is some of the most 2000s shit I've ever heard in a song, and I can't help but smile and harken back to a point in my life when I would act kind of spoiled around the holiday season. The song's in an upbeat 6/8 feel with some cool rhythms and accents thrown in. Even as confused as I was my first time listening to this when it was tacked on to Grow Up, I really couldn't say I was annoyed or that I disliked the song. Sure, there were some Christmas songs on the radio that I found pretty annoying even at the time, but this was one of my first diamonds in the rough. I know Simple Plan get mocked a lot since they have a song that's basically the go-to meme about being an obnoxious sad boy. However, just like I said in my What's Wrong With about Nickelback, I wouldn't call Simple Plan a guilty pleasure, as I do genuinely enjoy their first two albums. As far as pop punk goes, I really don't find anything wrong with them. And as immature as a song like this is, it's a song I always get some enjoyment from around this time. Number 10. Much like what I said about Halford's winter songs, a list like this also isn't complete without a Trans-Siberian Orchestra song. The holiday season in general isn't complete without this Christmas-themed band that, fun fact, essentially came from the ashes of Savatage. And with that, here's my favorite song of theirs from their fourth album, The Lost Christmas Eve from 2004, Christmas Jam. This was my introduction to TSO. You guys know me, I love instrumental songs, and The Lost Christmas Eve has lots of them. There's of course some jingles and bells thrown in, but the main riff is very badass sounding. However, nothing holds a candle to the solo played by Al Petrelli. It's highly melodic and has some pretty speedy parts, which is just what I like about Petrelli. I don't have too much else to say here. Really, I could have put anything by Trans-Siberian Orchestra on this list, but this is the song of theirs that I always find myself going back to whenever I listen to them. It's, for lack of a better term, a total jam. If you're going to listen to TSO at all, in the holiday season or otherwise, please make sure this song is included. Also, one of these days, I really need to see them live. Number 9. I know I haven't had the most positive things to say about AC/DC in recent years, but it's important to note that I do not dislike them at all. Mistress for Christmas from 1990's The Razor's Edge is a go-to favorite from them. The song's got the chords and feel that's associated with AC/DC songs, and of course a song from them wouldn't be complete without a neat little pentatonic solo from Angus Young. The lyrics are about wanting to sleep with someone on Christmas. It's very feel-good, straightforward hard rock, and it sounds oddly fitting for Christmas. It's songs like this that lead me to have a slight preference for Brian Johnson-era AC/DC. It also does a decent job in helping me remember everything I like about them whenever I get annoyed at hearing Back in Black and Highway to Hell over and over. It's also interesting that Mistress for Christmas wasn't released as a single. I think it would have made for a pretty cool single for Christmas. You want to rock out, this is a good song to have on at Christmas parties. Number 8. You might not think horror and Christmas go together well, but a song like Merry Xmas by Ice Nine Kills is really the peak example of how well it can be done. Ice Nine Kills are a post-hardcore/metalcore band who are well known for writing songs based on pre-existing media, such as on their fourth album, Every Trick in the Book, where the songs are based on novels. But then we get to their next album that came out last year, which is where this song comes from, The Silver Scream, where the songs are all based on horror movies. Merry Xmas is based on the 1984 film Silent Night, Deadly Night. I have not seen this movie, but if you want to see a Movie Buff's review of The Silver Scream, where I personally think he spends a bit too much time talking about the movies rather than the music, check out the review that my friend Atticus the Death Metaler made of the album. Seriously, man, I love the album, but your video really didn't need to be that long. The song is heavy as fuck and is one of my favorites on the album. I love the double time in the verses, Spencer Charnas' screaming is on point, I love the bells layered on top of the chorus where there's nice clean singing, and there's a crazy fucking solo from Justin DeBleek that takes place after this kinda weird sample of the traditional Jingle Bells carol. I might not get the references to Silent Night, Deadly Night seeing as I haven't seen the movie, but I like the Night Before Christmas structure in the verses, as well as a little nod to Santa Claus is Coming to Town in the bridge, and even the cool wordplay on the chorus. If you've never listened to The Silver Scream, it's a great album to turn on for Halloween, and if you're a horror fan, you'll lose your shit over this album. But Merry Xmas is a song that can definitely carry over for the holiday season, and it's cool that it exists on the album. Number 7. Who doesn't love Weird Al just a little? The man is a legend in the world of comedy and parody music. Christmas at Ground Zero is one of his style parodies of Phil Spector-produced Christmas songs. Musically, this is really happy and cheery, like you'd expect a Christmas song to sound. But much like how Merry Xmas sounded like Futurama's version of Christmas, this is also a subversive take on Christmas songs. Weird Al can be wholesome a lot of the time, but there are also songs where the subject matter is actually pretty dark. And this song was apparently enough to get his fourth album from 1986, Polka Party, banned by some radio stations. As dark as some of the references are, I do find the song really funny. If you don't already know, Ground Zero, at least the Ground Zero referenced in the song since this came out years before 9/11, ain't exactly a great place to be. From what I understand, it's both dangerous and disgusting. The references to things like radiation, mutation, atom bombs, nukes, and shit like that, paired with music you'd hear in shopping malls with mentions of Jack Frost and mistletoe, sound really jarring on paper, but that's basically the entire joke the song is centered around. The Night Santa Went Crazy from Bad Hair Day is also a funny Christmas-themed song of his. Musically, I like that one a little more, but the clash between the music and the lyrics makes this much more interesting. Is the song edgy? Oh, you bet. But hey, nothing wrong with some dark humor, especially when it comes from such a beloved comedy icon in music. Number 6. I mean, Trans-Siberian Orchestra did a version of Pachelbel's Canon in their song Christmas Canon, so if this doesn't count, fuck you, I'm including it anyway. It's still something I associate with Christmas. Back when I first joined YouTube on my original account in 2008, one of the first viral videos I watched was a video from a user called Guitar90 of a South Korean guitarist by the name of Fun2 playing the song Canon Rock and absolutely nailing it. I can remember a lot of my guitarist friends trying to learn the song so they could be as good as Fun2. It was there that I learned about the man who recorded this particular version of Pachelbel's Canon that Fun2 covered, Jerry Chang, aka Jerry C, and scoped out his version. There's great techniques and flair heard throughout the song, and the feel is also majestic as hell. There's nice melodies as well, even during the part where the song modulates from D major to D minor. The Pachelbel's rant guy might hate this song for the bass part, but this version will go down as one of the coolest instrumental guitar arrangements of a Baroque piece. I don't care if it seems like there's any nostalgia for old school YouTube showing. Even without that factoring in, I still find the song awesome, and I'm glad it played the role in my musical upbringing that it did. Number 5. Hey, I didn't say the songs in this list were going to only be rock and metal songs. When it comes to hip-hop Christmas songs, you cannot go wrong with Run DMC's Christmas and Hollis from 1988's Tougher Than Leather. The beat and the sample work here fucking rule. As far as old school rap goes, Run DMC are one of the most influential and respected groups that popped up in the 80s. You could definitely hear the funk and even rock elements that helped shape their sound, and you can also tell how this kind of sound carried over to the hip-hop scene that would explode in the early 90s. With me, Run DMC are up there with NWA, EPMD, Ice-T, Slick Rick, Boogie Down Productions, Eric B. and Rakim, Public Enemy, and of course the Beastie Boys as far as my favorite 80s rap acts go. Although the flow here is pretty stereotypical with early rap along with some of the rhyming being pretty basic, again, I love this beat and the DJ work from Jam Master Jay, may he rest his soul. The first verse from Run tells a story about discovering an accident in Hollis, Queens, where he sees a man who dropped his wallet, and of course that man is Santa Claus. And when he gets home, he sees he's got a letter from Santa saying that the cash in his wallet was for him anyway, so everybody wins. The vibe of the song totally sounds like the kind of shit you'd blast in New York City in the evening, and it puts you in a real party mood. It's really feel good, and I view it as one of my favorite samples in rap. Number 4. This is the most popular Christmas song you'll see on this list. It's pretty much the only one I won't verbally object to hearing whenever I go out this time of year. Why? Not only is Bruce Springsteen's rendition of Santa Claus is Coming to Town really catchy and bouncy, but there's a lot of personality that I like hearing. This is a live recording, and although I'm not always the craziest about them, the banter between Bruce, his band, and the audience is so dumb yet funny.
You guys know what time of year it is? What time? What? Oh, Christmas time. Clients, you've been rehearsing real hard now, so Santa bring you a new saxophone. Everybody out there been good or what? Oh, that's not many. You guys are in trouble out here.
In all seriousness, the song's a lot of fun. The drumming from Max Weinberg is nice, there's some awesome bass work from Gary Talent, cool triplets from the piano that's especially awesome during the last chorus where there's what I call a chromatically descending progression, and of course a cool sax solo from the one and only Clarence Clemons, may God rest his soul, who is without a doubt my favorite sax player in rock. The band is so tight, and even though this particular carol might not be amazing, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band do so much to make it their own. No matter how many other artists have made their own versions of Santa Claus is Coming to Town, this one's definitely the one that you're going to think of first. One big thing that makes this song a treat for me is during the outro when the band cuts out, with the exception of the piano and some jingle bells, you hear this ho 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 in the background, and I don't know why this is funny enough to make Bruce crack up on stage, but it's hilarious to listen to. What I've heard about this is that Clarence Clemons walked on stage dressed as Santa going ho ho ho, and I guess that was enough for Bruce to just lose his shit. That just makes it even funnier. Regardless, as much as this song might get played a lot, it's fun as hell, and it never ceases to make me laugh and jam. Number 3. This is a holiday mostly celebrated by Christians. We might as well talk about the Christian band that's the subject of my most viewed video, Stryper. This is yet another bonus track released on the Japanese version of their debut EP, The Yellow and Black Attack, and it's a cover of Winter Wonderland. I love shuffle songs in metal. The song sounds really fun and upbeat, along with showcasing trademark Stryper characteristics, such as the awesome harmonies in the dual guitar solo by Michael Sweet and Oz Fox, along with the former's always lovely vocals. The tones here sound a bit gritty compared to what Stryper would go on to do, and you really get a feel that this is a group of young, hungry guys wanting to make some good metal music. Winter Wonderland might not be as explicitly Christmassy as most of the other songs on this list, but I mean, what other time of year could a song with this subject matter be written for? Either way, much like everything else I've heard from Stryper, this jams. If my What's Wrong With on them doesn't convince you enough of their true talent, I hope a song like this might. While we're still talking about Christian bands, number 2. Relient K are not only one of my favorite Christian bands along with Stryper, but one of my favorite pop-punk bands. They've made a number of Christmas songs, but my favorite would have to be their version of Sleigh Ride from their 2007 album, Let It Snow, Baby. Let it reindeer. One thing I've always liked about Relient K is how they incorporate different instruments and tonalities in soft sections of their songs. It's one aspect of why it's not only my favorite album of theirs, but also my favorite pop-punk album. Although Relient K might have started out kind of typical for the genre, they're a band I see do a lot to step outside the box. Matt Tyson is already a great singer, but I really appreciate him as a writer too. Anderson's Sleigh Ride is a song I hold some personal nostalgia with, as it was a tradition in high school band that the winter concert would end with a performance of the song. So when I heard Matt Tyson and co. jam out with this, even with things like the whip crack and horse whinny being absent, I was like, fuck yeah! The song starts out jazzy and sweet, but when you get to the chorus, the song really cranks up for some total pop-punk magnificence. The progression is awesome, the vocals rule, and there's some cool layering with the piano and backing vocals. Sleigh Ride is an alright tune, but I can't get enough of Relient K's version. If you're like me and you like pop-punk, don't let the Christian label turn you a blind eye to Relient K. Just like I've said about Stryper, they have one of the most perfect sounds in the genre I can think of, and I love how it was injected into such a fun and wholesome song like this. Now, what could be better than a song like that? Number 1.
When you gonna learn, dirtball? You just can't fuck with Twisted Sister!
You saw this coming. What else could I possibly pick to top this list? I love this. Many artists have put out Christmas albums. Many artists have come up with their own versions of 12 Days of Christmas, and in my opinion, Twisted Sister's version about heavy metal is not only the best version of the carol, but it's also my favorite Christmas song ever. Is it perfect? No, the band sounds kind of drunk, but for me that just adds to the fun factor. Each of the members sings a different item that our true love gives to us in a kinda silly voice, and after each verse there's a solo trade between both of the guitarists, Eddie Fingers Ojeda and JJ French, as well as the bassist, Mark the Animal Mendoza. This song is so much fun, and the guys sound like they're having a blast with it. As cliched as some of the gifts listed in the song are when it comes to metal, such as spandex pants, leather jackets, cans of hairspray, and of course a tattoo of Ozzy, everything just sounds so cheerful. As bummed out as I usually am on Christmas, listening to 12 Days of Heavy Metal Christmas does a fine job at putting a smile on my face. I've made it a tradition to always listen to the song on Christmas ever since I first chanced upon it my first time diving into Twisted Sister's discography. Even if you're not a glam metal fan, if you love metal and want to hear a fun and unique take on a popular Christmas song, in my humble opinion, you can't go wrong with making this a part of your Christmas tradition too. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and got some recommendations for some good holiday-themed music. I'm sure there's some Christmas songs I didn't include that you'll mention in the comments, so don't hesitate to let me know if there's other Christmas or holiday songs I should check out. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, a great rest of the year, and of course, a Happy New Year. Best and worst songs are on the way, so stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching this video, take care, and have a nice day. I'm Shades, and I'll see you next time.